Steph, good to have you on. And so for those who don't know, Steph France runs The Curious Marketer and several other ventures. I'm here to tell you all my secrets. So what do you want to know?
Cold email. I know that you have had a lot of results. I thought, okay, I want to learn about cold email. Who should I reach out to? And I said, okay, my friend Jean-Michel
Yeah,
is the
sure.
guy that know about it. So let's have a call. And yeah, I'm really happy that you are willing to teach me your secrets.
And of course, there's 3 secrets. Just kidding. Cold email is really straightforward. And I think this is the big secret to marketing is there's no trick. So as long as you're emailing people and offering something they already wanted to do, they will reply to you because people do read emails. I think there's like this misconception that people don't read cold email. People don't read garbage spam emails because they get auto spammed. It's the same thing as people don't respond to complete garbage ads. That doesn't work either. You know what I mean? I think with cold email, you don't know if they want something. So it's really in your best interest to offer the broadest, most wonderful thing you can. It makes me think of actually corporate events. Companies pay to send their people to events. And the whole thing is like you're building your network. That's why a company will expense a hotel, the tickets, the flight, showing up. And still, every event has free alcohol. Why? Because they have to get the sales guys to actually show up and do their thing. Otherwise, it's even less valuable. So free beer is a great one. You have to offer something that people want. That's the trick.
Yeah, it makes sense. I tons of cold email. And when my YouTube channel took off, it was fun at the beginning to receive some. I was like, oh, people are reaching out.
Yeah.
Let's read them. And then it's like 3, 4, 5, 10 per day. Sometimes it's terrible. It's like the competition is fierce.
Yes.
And at some point, I wouldn't say I'm not reading them, but I'm getting good at spotting them. And for some, I see right away, it doesn't make any sense. Like literally the person has made no effort. But I realized recently that I also, maybe because I'm probably more aware of what we can do with AI than the average person, but I hope the really well done AI research. So, you know, someone will mention something about one of my videos. I'm like, you wouldn't have mentioned that if it would be a normal email. You don't have to.
I really like how at minute 413 you mentioned Peter. Like, what?
Yeah, of course. So it's very hard. Circling back to what you just said, you just need to offer what people want. It makes sense because I don't think the trick now is to pretend that you have actually spent an hour searching the person. I even think like admitting that the ones I enjoy reading are the ones that are fun. Fun to read.
Yes,
like
if you make it fun, that definitely...
You make it fun. So sometimes I'm just answering. I'm like, okay, I don't want your offer, but great.
Good job.
Good job. Yeah. So even if I know it was automated, not made for me, the guy didn't tag on my content. I don't tag the guys for my content, but at least I know it's to me. I know it's fun. Yes, sometimes, for example, I remember you get a lot with the YouTube channel.
Yes.
But some would give a thumbnail, which is intriguing.
Yeah. And they can obviously they're automating that too, but it's pretty cool. If we just made you these great thumbnails, that's way more interesting than, hi, can I make your thumbnails? I get those too since I manage 10 YouTube channels for other companies. I get so many of
that should be terrible. With one, it's already...
it's fun.
So how do we make it amazing?
How do you make it amazing? First of all, let's talk about you. Why do you want... You know how to do so much in marketing, right? You have a great YouTube channel, not easy to do. I know you've run ads successfully. You've launched brands. Like, who do you want to get a hold of via email? Why bother?
I would say you introduced me as the curious marketer, so there's a lot about that. I know my brain works in a way that a lot of people would be like, okay, I need to do that. Let's try to do it. Oh, I can't solve this problem, so I need to learn this technique. The way as a consultant, because that's my main job, I figure that I love to learn stuff. I know already about coding. I've done it already, but I know that I do not know enough to be good at it, like really good. And I know that we only work with the tool that we know.
Yeah.
Which means when you try to solve a problem, you will circle within your mind with the stuff that you know, and it's very hard to use the stuff that you don't know. And I find myself circling a lot about ads because that's my thing.
You know how to do ads, yes.
Yeah, I know how to do ads. So it's always, we can make ads for that. But cold email is strong. And I just wanted to learn about it. Maybe it will serve me for my consulting. Maybe it will serve my clients. So yeah, it's about general learning.
Okay, yeah. And then let's make it concrete. So who would you like to get a hold of?
I was thinking to reach out to Shopify brands. certain amounts of revenue, especially that are spending a certain amount.
Yes, that's a great example. Let's just take e-commerce broadly, and I can show you some methods. And you mentioned, yeah, we're always going around the tools that we have, but this is why I like to go into more things related to principles, because then it doesn't matter which tool. There's so many, for example, we're talking about the offer, right? That will affect your ads, that will affect your cold email, and it doesn't matter like how you're getting it done. It's really spending an inordinate amount of time thinking about what do these people really want and how can I give it to them. That's the biggest return. I know a lot of people come to me and say, oh, we had different agencies, our ads don't work. And it's possible that everybody flubbed their ads, but a lot of times it's not an ads problem. It's a business model problem. Like, how do we make the people buy a second time? Suddenly your ads work great. You doubled your revenue. Or how do you make it easier to buy? I work with people, and a lot of people, maybe they have a $150,000 offer. So let's make something bite-sized first. And then the second, once you've developed a relationship, it's a lot easier. So these are great principles, but let's talk about like, how do you get in front of e-com people?
There are two things here in what you said that are hard, especially probably with cold email. It's hard also with ads. But first of all, what people actually need, most of the time they don't know it.
This is so true, yeah.
Something else,
Yes.
right? So that's one thing. And since they don't really know it, it's very hard to know what people want or what people need before you have talked to them. So that's the principle of cold email. Therefore, how to be precise enough. So I know that
we can cover that.
When I get a generic offer, I'm like, dude, I received 3 of them today. Why you? Literally, why you? But a very too specific offer might be like, I don't need that right now. So those are like
This reminds me, I was talking to somebody just the other day, and it's a great company. They've been around for 30 years. And they're like, hey, we spun off a very specific element of our product, and we want to make it like a what we call like a land and expand offer. We just want to sell this little lower cost solution, point solution. And then that's going to let us get into companies. And they said, so we have our solution. We took a little piece. We're selling it. There's a problem with our marketing because it's costing us a lot of money to get people to install this thing. And I'm like, how many users have you talked to? I'm like, only the people who we've gone through the paid ads. And so there must be something wrong with our paid ads. And I'm thinking, what do your people want to buy? That's the question. Not like, how do I sell more widgets is the complete wrong, just to like go off of what you just said. Like, how do I sell more of my stuff is the wrong question. It's a very expensive approach. Way easier is just, what do they want to buy? Especially right now in like 2025, there's a lot of like global economy uncertainty. Companies are spending less. It's way easier to figure out like, what is their number one initiative this year? I'm going to solve that. I'm going to repackage my product to be related to that. Way easier. And having this cold email generate conversations before you're pushing a solution. We've got direct marketing. Do you want to buy this? Do you want this offer versus indirect? Would you like this free resource? Do you want to talk to me about XYZ? Indirect is so much better for cold because you're not selling anything. And it can generate those conversations to figure it out. Okay, so how do we get a hold of e-com people? Let's do it. It's easy peasy.
I have a few ideas of how to find a qualified list, I would say, depending on the tool they use, stuff like that.
Yes.
Maybe you want to go through it.
There's not that many steps. The first one is we have to define the ICP, like who is your ideal client profile or customer avatar, ICA, ideal customer avatar. This is who. After we define it, we have to pull a leads list. So we have to go find leads. So these are all different problems. And there's all kinds of different technical solutions that we can talk about. And for example, I know for e-com, we can use Apollo will work, but there's also specific e-com lists and list brokers that will give you those lists. Then number 3 is you have all the tech setting up your emails. So your cold machine, I would call it. And number 4 is just the process to respond. The process, which is really related to what do you have a sales development rep do? It's so simple. It's really simple. You email people, they respond, you reply back, you follow up with them. And how good your follow-up process is really determines the total pipeline value that you generate. So this is so easy. Should we just dive into number 1?
Yeah, if you want, I have an actual proper example. We served a client recently for a very specific thing in e-commerce, which I think it's a product market fit because we built an automation system for a furniture brand to go and scrap trendy pieces of furniture images, generate image variations based on current trades, AI image variations, and inject them in their ad accounts.
Yes.
So,
I love
so
this.
it runs like it's a testing at scale.
Yeah.
Basically, it reduces the risk of choosing the next product to launch.
This is a great, very common question too. So for you, it's still new. Like you proved out that this was useful to a person and would be valuable to another company, like for sure, right? Another ecom brand, of course, they could kill with ads doing that. It would be great. If you're coming from the point of view, I want to sell exactly that, then probably you should run ads. Probably. Because you can run your standard funnel metrics and you'll be able to see, okay, what kind of cost per lead and cost per call do I need for this product? Like, how do I need to price it for the whole thing to work? And with some ad spend, you could figure that out. This approach is more like, how do I get a hold of ecom brand owners and have a conversation with them? How you do in your sales process depends on, did you connect your services with their needs? So maybe this is another point in here that actually number 5 is like, how do you actually sell stuff if you're doing indirect sales? How do you actually sell stuff?
Why ads? Why would you say for this one, if let's say I want to, okay, tomorrow, that's my only job, I need to make this offer.
Yes.
Okay, ads, I know how to do it, but why would I pick ads instead of cold emails for this specific thing?
If you are dead set on selling one specific thing, then ads are a great way to tell if that offer works, because the ad platforms are going to help you optimize to put your messaging in front of people who might buy that thing. And you pay a premium to make that happen at scale. But you're saying, hey, Meta, I'll pay you a premium to find the top 3% of the market that's ready to buy something today. I've advertised it the best I can. Let's see what it costs me to get a customer, and do my unit economics make sense for this offer? So that's what is the benefit of using Meta or whatever ad platform, is you're paying for finding the right people. And that's, if you're starting from your offer, your starting point is, I want to sell XYZ, then ads are great. The cold email is great if you're saying, I want to get a hold of 7-figure ecom brand owners. Now, as a marketer, this is a different question. As a marketer, you know this, you have to have someone's attention before you can sell them anything. So this is a great way. Imagine how many ads you'd have to run if you only wanted to hit 7-figure, 8-figure ecom brand owners. A lot of ads. But here, if you offer somebody something really valuable, they will talk to you. Now you have someone's attention that owns a 7-figure brand. What are you going to do with that attention? Are you going to say, hey, please buy my super specific point solution? Or are you going to say, I put all this effort into it. Tell me about what's your problems? What's broken in your business right now? Why aren't you scaling? Oh, it's that. It's something to do with logistics or operations. That's what they want to buy today. And that helps inform what you can sell to that market, which is a different question, right? It's different. Like, how do I sell my stuff? Run ads. How do I get a hold of very affluent people who have problems? This is why cold email is great, but it doesn't help you sell exactly your thing. Maybe you talk to 20 of them and they say, actually, we don't want that at all. That's not our problem this year. That would be a distraction for us because we need something else.
That's very interesting. I didn't see that this way. Because on the contrary, I was thinking, okay, if you do cold email, then, I would say, okay, if this offer, then I make it very specific to home decor brands and I talk about their next product launch or something very specific. So I have their attention like that. But in fact, my thinking was more like the try to buy my stuff instead of
yes. And it really depends on the value of your solution. So what I found, like rough rule of thumb, is and this is just like entrepreneur advice, right? So if you're trying to start a new thing, that should be an expensive thing. Very low cost products are for massive scale, right? But they usually don't make a lot of money and they're really difficult. And I like to think about it like this. Who serves the mass market? Massive enterprises are who serve the mass market. Walmart, Costco. If you want to sell one candy bar, then you need to be Walmart to make that make sense. So if your business is, I'm going to sell this cheap little thing, but I just have to have 40 million customers and then my business will be, that's really hard. So we go the other way. When you're starting something new, it's got to be expensive unless you already have a huge business and now you're trying to expand. So cheap stuff is for massive scale. And so if you're starting something, it's expensive. There's two ways I like to do. How do you start selling an expensive thing? You can, if it's not related to an industry, if it's not, ecom brand owners, if it's like very ultra specific, then run ads to a call funnel. Get on the phone with them, find out their problem, adjust your product, sell the solution. If it's something for an industry and you're like, what do e-com people need? Then you use cold email. And generally, if your solution generates somewhere around $10,000 a year in revenue, then cold email is great. If it's less, it starts to
ask for revenue, you mean?
Revenue, yeah.
If you can sell at least one time $10,000
over the course of a year. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, then it's worth it. Otherwise, it feels like a lot of effort. Because, and this is with specifically, I'm getting really in the weeds or jumping around, but getting into like indirect offers. So, hey, I'm offering you something valuable. I'll give you an example. Somebody I was talking to recently, they scaled their service business to 10 million a year. You want to know their ad strategy? Their big marketing strategy. They invite the potential clients to dinner. They don't even pay for the meal. It's an expensive restaurant. They invite the potential clients to dinner. It's a networking opportunity with other leaders in their local area. That scaled to 10 million. 10 million is so simple because you know why? People want networking opportunities. If you're a CEO, you want to talk to other CEOs and it's a pain to organize. So it is valuable, right? This is very similar. If you're offering indirect value to people, this is kind of how you do it, but it does take effort. You do have to spend time with them. So you're not going to, it does have a sales process. This isn't like you're going to click buy. To get a great response rate on email, you have to offer something and have a human touch and do sales. So you're not going to want to do that for really low cost products. Around $10,000 and a reasonable TAM, reasonable number of people in your industry, you could be generating like somewhere between 1 and 100 million in pipeline from running these kind of plays.
Interesting. So for the example, let's say, which is actually something that also I have in my mind. There are not a lot of automations for e-commerce, and the causes, it's not that obvious that as obvious as, for example, in leads, but there are a lot of problems that can be solved with automations. That's my thing. I create systems, I create workflow, I use all kind of tools and make that come. Obviously, AI everywhere, and I solve for e-commerce. But again,
that's your solution.
That's the solution. It's unsellable apart from the fact like I'm selling systems, but I don't even need I know that.
Yeah.
So the only very specific idea was the one I told you about, which I think can resonate with people. But in fact, I can be pretty much anything or consult on anything, e-commerce, systems, ads.
Yeah, so you could launch a huge business with just this. So you would send cold emails to e-commerce. I can show you how to find them, but there's special lists for e-commerce too. You can find them on Apollo even, just e-commerce on Apollo. Offer them something extremely valuable that is personal, where they're going to meet with you and whatever that is. And we can talk about some of the options. And you test them, right? You're testing your emails. You're testing like the copy that's going to get them in front of you. So you're going to start to optimize as you go through. And when we talk about e-com, you'll easily find like 30, 40,000 e-com CEOs at that level. So you'll be able to, some of them will want to talk to you if you're offering them something that they already wanted. And because it's e-com, they want a specific angle, like there's a way that makes sense to them. And so that's what you work on with your email. Get in front of them, you just figure out, then it's sales. It's easy sales because you have this great rapport from providing them value first. You find out what's the problem they're facing right now that's related to what you do. So you could ask them questions about their operations challenges and like, why aren't they? The funny thing as marketers, like for us, marketing is easy and what's hard is operations and hiring. And culture. Those are much harder problems. People think it's like lead flow, and it is true. You can 10x leads and 10x a business, but it's the other parts, the ops that break. So you can ask them these ops questions, and then all you have to do is tailor the way you provide what you do to their problems. So if whatever it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Sales.
So I'm really the first step I really would like to.
So shall I show you all the tricks?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'm all ears.
Okay. So the first thing, let's just look for one easy leads database would be Apollo. So first thing is just like find the bunch of ecom people. So let's do that right now. Okay. So I'm in Apollo. You just search people and there's like 30 million people in here. And do you want European ecom for you?
Yeah, why not?
Sure. So account location, we're going to put in Europe.
How dated do you know where this come from? I knew I never used it.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, is it like an actual valid database?
Yeah. There are better ones that are more expensive, but Apollo, like 80% of them are going to work. Okay. And then let's just check this out. Industry and keywords. Let's try a keyword. Okay, look at that. And you look at these companies, not all of them are correct. DHL, okay, somehow. KUKA, in a former life, I bought a KUKA robot. Those are like the car, paint your car robot. Obviously, these are not all correct. Klarna, okay, I think they do like payment processing, right? So clearly not all of these are going to be correct, but a lot of them are, and that's the point. So right here we have 40 1,000 companies in e-commerce, but let me tell you something. It's hard to sell to people that don't make money. So let's filter at least 5 million in revenue. Ooh, that's really shrunk it. Okay, I'm just looking at this number here. Okay, yeah.
I don't see it because of the size of the screen.
Okay. It was like we were just looking at the number of people here. And so then we're going to go to people and let's see if we can even find. So generally when I do one of these, I like to find 10K people, 15K people. That'll give you enough leads for a quarter. And for ecom, I know there's separate leads databases you can use that are better than Apollo for that specific one. But yeah, we don't want to talk to anybody. So one of the easiest ones you could do, if it's just all of ecom, let's just make sure they could potentially buy something from you. Probably up to here, right? Like VP, head, then they got to go ask their parents for money, their boss, right? So we want to go maybe to there. So that gives us 20K folks in Europe somehow related to ecom. Lucerne e-commerce, for example. Okay, and then, so basically we would pull all these leads, and that's a technical step, it's too boring to go through, but here you would have 20K leads. That's enough to email for a whole quarter. We picked an ICP of just executives in ecom. For the tech setup, this stuff changes all the time, and what works today might not be the best tech tomorrow. But like today, we use Instantly. If I were you, I would buy maybe 6 domains to email from, put 3 to 6 accounts on those domains. I'd buy Google Workspaces for those accounts, load all that. Then you have to make sure that you've got your deliverability. There's a lot of tech things around how you set up these like specific things about the DNS.
I had to deal with that a bunch of times, but never really for cold email. And probably that's one of the parts I was really wondering about, how hard it is and what are the shortcuts? Like, do you know, are there guys on Fiverr or Upwork that are just like, that go straightforward and set up the whole thing if you want?
Not very good. Here's the funny thing. If you can do cold email really well, you can launch a $10 million business. So like the guys on Fiverr who are selling it don't know how, or they would not be on Fiverr. This is the funny thing with marketing. Oh man, this reminds me, I talked to some founders and their business was fixing people's funnels and they never got their own funnel to work. And they got business from cold calling. So you got to be really careful out there in the marketing world because there are people. So Fiverr is not the place to find technical expertise but there's an easier way out of this. You can pay a premium and Instantly will sell you like pre-configured domains. It's way more money, but they're ready to go. They've done all the right technical stuff. They already have account names. So you'll be emailing as Emily or Sarah or whatever, but that's fine. So yeah, that's one way around that problem.
What if just for the technical part, if I don't want to pay the premium instantly and I want to set it up myself, what's the best place to go and learn about it?
Then you should call me. You particularly, you should call me and I will help you. And I would say like to people out there, like that is why businesses like mine exist. Like we're really good at this. We're on top. It's changing all the time because it's like a cat and mouse game with the providers and like what's spam. And we try to not spam by that's the trick. The non-trick is we try to do something valuable. So it's not just like junk, but it's changing all the time. And I don't think there's an easy answer to that because if you find some course, it might be out of date. If you're a serious business, like just find a real marketer. Like I'll do it for you. Happy to help you set it up. So no good answer there. So then you get those domains, you warm them up for 2 weeks, which is instantly takes care of that for you. It's very simple. And then the real thing is, what do you offer? So I'm going to grab the Ultimate Sales Machine. So he was doing keynotes, right? And if you read this book, this guy was a genius with the 80-20 principle. He was like 80-20 my clients, 80-20 my prospects. How do I make a pitch that no one gets bored and leaves? These are great questions. And it's not easy because what every business owner and product owner does, okay, then I sell my stuff. Like, when do I sell let's buy my stuff. And your prospect is not ready for that. And it's the wrong point of view. So just flip it. What will everyone in the e-com industry benefit from? So what they would do is they would make and this still works. It's a lot of work though, but it's worth it. What they would do is they would make a report on what's the global pain, what's the global outlook in that industry. And people want to come. They want how are farming equipment, like how do capital equipment in farms are going to change in 2025 and how you can better allocate. If you can do a report on that, everyone that's managing farm operations is going to come to you. That would be very useful. That's an example of they actually did that one. That's how I know that one. But so if you have valuable information to share and give it away, then that's one way to go. So you could cold email and say, look, I'm a top marketer. I've been talking with top e-com brands like Estee Lauder, or I don't know, we made this report for them, something about the top trends and what's happening with AI, for example, in the industry. Can we come deliver the keynote? We'd love to just do it for free for you guys. And I'll also share everything I've been learning when talking to executives across the industry. If you do that, some people are going to want to go. The problem is you can't just AI that out. It has to actually be valuable. So that's one thing. We developed that for companies. Other things that work are asking them to contribute to an industry white paper. And here's why that doesn't work often. If you're just telling people that and you don't actually produce anything useful, it doesn't work later. This is like how you can't escape brand. Like if you have a terrible brand online because you're trying for the cheap, quick, easy fix, your ads stop working. And it's the same for cold. If you are doing great stuff online and you're providing everyone with some value, suddenly your ad performance goes way up and you don't have to do anything else. Same for your cold email responses. People will say yes because they see you doing good things. That's the main trick, is to not fake people, and you'll win in the long term.
Not everybody has this value.
Yeah. And so that's it. You would come up with these things. One thing I do for companies is we launch podcasts. Another great thing, people love getting on podcasts. And here's the trick. The trick is you don't launch a podcast for lead generation. You launch a podcast to be the leader in the space, to step up and say, you know what, we're going to lead now online. We're going to be the ones who are thought leaders. And you don't do that by, I'll ghostwrite some thoughts. You go up there and by hosting everyone, just like the dinner I talked about. It's the same idea. You're the guy hosting the dinner, and that is a huge value to everybody, but you're still seen as the host, which makes everything else work easier.
Okay, so that would be, I'm trying to understand your approach. Your approach is really, so you don't sell an offer. You don't even talk about an offer. You just share value, but value can be made in different flavor. It could be like, here's a report I wrote, basic, about this because it solved this problem. So maybe you might want to do it, but maybe it's too specific.
You need a broad one for cold email. Broad value.
Yeah. Which is funny. I would have thought it would be
it's the opposite of ad. Because the platform finds people for you, you want to be so specific because then they'll find the right people. There's no algorithm here. So you want to be very broad because you want everyone to say yes. Yeah.
And so there is the keynote thing, but also podcast. In this case, your lead magnet or value that you deliver is basically to ask them to be on a podcast with you. And so that's how you start the conversation.
Yeah, it's come on my show. I want to highlight your experience as a leader in your field, and I know what you've done. We want to talk about your company, what you guys are doing. I want to talk about your history, the things that you know as an experienced like pro in the field. Let's share that with the wider community. And the trick is to just do that. If you do that, the whole business will take care of itself. If you just really deliver on the value, like for real, try and serve the community. Everybody needs that.
So in my case, just creating a podcast. That will and reach out with cold email to e-com business owners that could be potentially clients, and just not talking about any product, just say, okay, let's go on a podcast, going through the whole podcast, not asking them for anything. And then, so now that I know your problem, maybe you want to have another call and then we can talk about it. Okay.
Exactly. That's 100% it. That's 100%. And if you really deliver and you make them look great on the show, you have a great conversation. In terms of sales, you've already built rapport now. And it's not, hey, how's the weather in Tucson? That's not, you know what I mean? You actually just spent an hour with them. You did something cool with them. You're going to help them with their personal branding, with their career. And now it's regular traditional sales. But we plugged in this amazing digital marketing scalable thing in front of it. So you're getting a stream of executives in the industry that you want to serve are talking to you, making friends with you, then just figure out what you need to tell them and sell them. That's pretty easy because I know you can help them. And you already have, you personally, Steph, you've got a great brand. Your podcast is cool. Your show is cool. It's great. I love it. This will work way better for you than somebody who has no brand. People are going to be like, oh yeah, that guy. I've seen what he does.
Yeah. All right. And on the other side of it, let's say the podcast is the highest value that it's broad enough. Yeah. It's appealing to everyone.
It's very scalable.
Require a lot of, I would have said the opposite because actually you need to be there. So it's not that.
Here's how it works at scale. Here's what we do. So at scale, I can record 7 episodes a day. At a bigger company, as you get going, you hand this to your top sales guy and then he can't do anymore. Then you add a second one, you have 2 hosts. So you could fill maybe 2-3 BDM's calendar. So when I work with a $100 million company where they have offices all over. We actually can launch different shows for different niches, different verticals. Like if they do healthcare, we have the healthcare one. We have another one for finance or oil and gas with different hosts. So you can actually fill several different folks' calendars to speed it up. And then all my fun retargeting tricks, you can just,
the podcast about it.
That's right. Yeah. What I love to do is, so those clips, if you make let's just talk about this. Let's say you make a great episode, you have you're so excited, you got this great guest on. That guest wants to be seen as a leader. So you actually run their clip as an ad with no call to action. You just pump it out and you're going to see, can you get people to watch that whole 60-second clip? If that clip is about some super specific e-com operations thing, no one in the world is going to watch that unless they're in e-com operations. So you just pump that clip out there. You make an enormous retargeting list that doesn't depend on the pixel, doesn't depend on all these things. Now you have your private retargeting list. Then you can push an offer to that retargeting list. And that's way cheaper than running cold traffic ads. So when I run cold traffic ads, I get somewhere between $300 and $600 a book call. When I do this method I just described, it's like $50 and they've been watching me for 5 months. So it's a very easy sale.
Yeah, that's
phase 2. Yeah. But you have all these assets so you can use them.
Yeah, this is so smart. I just wanted to understand. So if podcast is on one end of the spectrum, maybe the easiest value is some kind of report. I was thinking while you were explaining it, for example, and tell me if it fits or not. But right now, what some e-commerce owners mind is if they are in the US, it's a tariffs problem. It's a mess. It's like hell.
Yeah.
So they are probably not willing to do anything else than solving this problem right now. But that's not exactly what I do.
But hold on, though.
Okay. No, but I know what you are going to say because I can lead with that.
Yeah.
With information variable about that and then go towards some kind of other programs. But I was thinking something that is general because in Europe, for example, they don't have those programs. And we're talking about Europe. And something that every e-commerce wants is to increase bottom line revenue and to streamline the business and automations saving. But no one really knows where to apply AI agent, quote unquote, because I have a whole video about the hype of AI agent, but AI automation workflows, no one knows really how to use it. So let's imagine a kind of reports that's best places to use AI in an e-commerce to streamline operation, logistic, marketing, and then increase bottom line revenue. Is that something that is general enough?
Yes, but there's one tweak to make it work better. So that would say that's like okay, and it will probably perform okay. Mm-hmm. One level better is you get them to contribute to the report. So if you make the report broader, you can ask them for their insight. It's the same thing. You're appealing to their ego a little bit. Like we're making this big report and we only are talking to the top brands. We've already talked to your competitors, by the way, and we'd love to get your insights. And I'd love to tell you like what everyone's saying off the record, right? If you do that, you will, and you really do that. That's the thing. You can't just fake it. You have to actually do it. Yeah. So if you do that, now you have all of their brands associated with your report. Now run an ad to that report. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Just like the pocket, it's the same thing. It's way more valuable because it isn't this thing you made. They made it. Yeah. So have your customers.
So basically, you never just give a PDF.
That still works. Like I still do that sometimes. But this is better. If you want to get in front of them, this is better because then you have a chance to talk.
Okay.
And then you can do your sales motion afterward.
All right. Cool. So we have the list.
Yeah.
Then we have an offer, two variants, either podcast, a report about automations, which appeal to everybody. In both cases, we engage a conversation by asking them feedback and talking to Diego and engaging conversation. So it's really not like hey, just consume my stuff and come back to me. It's more, hey, I need you to do something together.
Yeah.
Then starts the sales process. So it's really engaging the conversation. We said the technical part is like, so what do we miss then? Where are we in the process?
We didn't cover like SDR and sales stuff. There's a couple like little fine points too. So you have questions about the market. If you're having these conversations, make sure that's in your list of questions. Like your hypotheses about what they want. Ask, right? I know you like quiz funnels. You're a big quiz funnels fan. It could be a little bit like a quiz funnel, right? You're asking them about all those quiz questions you have that you want to segment them. Just ask them in person and write it down. And you've done the same work.
Okay, so you are talking when you are in a conversation with them, you need to have already like basically, it's not a sales script, but it's more like a discovery list of questions that you want to have kind of some prepared because you know that they already lead to the big problems that are underlying.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And when I have clients that say, I want to sell my thing, I coach them to make sure they're asking their guests and who they're talking to, what is it you want to buy this year? That's a much more valuable question than how do I get you to buy my thing? And we go the other way. This is the question I'm asking every day. How do I sell the stuff the people just want to buy? That's way easier than how do I market this like thing that's not cool anymore and repackage it and try and make the angle. It's just sell what they want. This is
okay, it works, but I totally get it, and I have seen it working firsthand. I'm really not a sales guy. That's why I'm biased, because like my background is in e-commerce, and it's more like, okay, we have the product, let's make it nice and let's sell it. But I've had the chance to work with some great marketers that knows about the sales process. I've been in those discovery calls, and I know that the big difference is, okay, going to what do you need? And then, okay, let's just figure out if we can solve this problem for you. And then when we create an offer, the offer is, okay, it's exactly the solution. So why wouldn't, it's not like, no, I don't want it. It's like, maybe there is a negotiation about how long to
the terms,
to buy it, how much does it cost, but it can't be a no, because it's exactly what they need. But what if you
sometimes
have a
it's a no, but unfortunately, I wish it couldn't be a no, but it's still sometimes they're like,
yeah, of course. But what if, for example, you have a productized service? Then there is no such a thing as custom and what do you need? I would do it. How do you manage that? Even a SaaS.
I like to help people who sell expensive SaaS. So there's always a little something.
Yeah, that's definitely
it's not $1 a seat, 5 seats. Then I can't help you. But so that's like a sales question. If you have a productized service, your clients don't care that you've made your operations efficient. They don't care that they don't care at all. So just have to connect. You're like, you have this specific problem. Here's exactly how we solve it. We do it. We solve it. You said A. That's our offer. Like, we fix A. We get you to Hawaii. No one cares about how. It's like sell the vacation, not the flight. Don't talk about your packing your bags and getting on the plane. Just talk about like orchids and surfing on Maui and like beach breaks and all that stuff. So and so you don't have to talk about your productized service. You just deliver. You just have great like margins. They don't care though.
Yeah, but how? I ask a lot of.
Hit me.
Sorry, you tell me if you want to move on faster. If you do cold emails, it means that you don't want to go into, 50 conversations a week with people that don't need your service. So you absolutely have to make sure they need this specific thing.
Got you. Okay, let me talk about that. Are they qualified or not? So when you're emailing people who might not need your service, you're going to have a lower qualified rate. And that's why I say, for this to make sense generally, just typically across all industries, if you're selling something that costs 10 grand or more, and 60% of people might need it, it's going to work. But that kind of makes sure the juice is worth the squeeze, that sort of annual contract value. So if it's that or higher, it's fine. And that's why you definitely, if 2 people were playing this game, the offer would win, right? If one guy was selling something that like most people didn't want, the other guy's doing the exact same marketing, but he's selling something that everybody needs, okay, that other guy's going to win. So the offer wins in this case. You are going to get lower amount of qualified people just because it's random. Maybe they didn't need it this year. But then that's where sales comes in. You had that great conversation. Maybe next year they need something and you're the guy that helped them. Long game. It's a long game.
Yeah, okay. That's the obscure part that I am not too much sure what, and I really need to learn into.
Steph, this has been really fun, and I have to interview people because we're growing. And let me know if that's the next call is interviews.
You're so busy, Jean.
I know. Thanks for coming on. It was a lot of fun.
I learned a lot, and I might call you again to talk about it again.
Do it.
But thank you very much.
You're welcome. Ciao.
Bye. Have a good one.